Merry Christmas.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror movie, and they discuss it. Today we're talking about 2010's Frozen, which was directed by Adam Green. I'm your co-host, Alec.
I'm Erik, and with us is Elsa and Anna from Frozen.
There's two? I thought Elsa was a princess.
Elsa, well, yeah, they're both princesses. They're sisters.
Oh.
You've never seen Frozen, right?
No, I've never seen Frozen. I was 23 when it came out. I don't have kids. Somehow my girlfriend at the time didn't really care about it, so no.
Well, you saw this Frozen. That's what matters. Today, this is what matters. So there you go.
It's Christmas today. Merry Christmas.
Happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah.
All a good night. Just hopefully no one's stuck on a chairlift.
On Christmas, I think ski lifts are closed, yeah. But, I mean, there's probably other Christmas movies we could have done. I mean, there's like 2 other Black Christmases. There's Silent Night, Deadly Night. There's a ton of Christmas movies, but we didn't do that. We did Frozen. I gotta say, I liked this movie way more than I probably should have. Not bad.
I really liked it. And I didn't think it was going to be that good. I was like, how this movie's going to suck. There's some parts of it I'm like, oh my God. But mostly I enjoyed the ride.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same director as the Hatchet movies.
This is better. This is better than Hatchet in my mind. Hatchet 2 as well.
I mean, it's not a slasher. It's a survival horror movie. And there's a lot of those. But this one, dude, like this one's really like relatable. Like if you're on, I mean, anybody that's ever skied has had this fear, So it's legit.
I thought of us all the time. I mean, we used to go on ski bus when we were in like elementary school and into middle school, and we've ridden a lot of ski lifts together. And there's just one bar holding you up from 30 feet, and like kids are idiots. And I mean, I've jumped off of the ski lift before at a much lower height than this movie. I mean, but yeah, just it brings a whole lot back to me. I was also offered my first cigarette on a ski lift. Did I ever tell you that? And this was like 4th grade, dude. Like,
I kind of remember that. Yeah.
This guy, I was just me and this one guy. He like was a single rider, joined me, and we're straddling up, and he's about to light up, and he's like, "You want one?" And I remember being like, "Oh my God, this is what Dare prepared me for." And I was like, "I'm good, thank you."
I mean, if you're 9 and you're smoking, like, you're going to be coughing up blood.
This guy would be on the news today for giving someone a cigarette at I was like 9.
Yeah. I have a pretty good ski lift story that I'll tell a little bit later on. I think I've told it on the podcast before, but it was not like this, but it was not too far off.
We'll tease it with sparks. From what I remember. Sparks.
Yeah, scary.
Stick around this podcast. You're going to hear the story.
I'll tell it later. But yeah, I mean, I was immediately like, oh shit, that's the guy from X-Men. It was Iceman from X-Men.
Kind of like, he just freeze his way out of this shit. It's kind of
I know.
You gotta have him be the guy Frozen. It was good.
Yeah, so they got Iceman from X-Men, and then they also had the fucking kid from Air Bud.
And Dawn of the Dead, the remake, right?
Right. He was in that too. I mean, I call him the poor man's Chris Pine, but I was like pretty impressed. I was like, yo, he went from Air Bud to this, kind of doing an all right job. I don't know. Yeah. And apparently those 2 actors are very good friends in real life too. So I think that, because the chemistry I thought was great between them, like very believable.
It was honestly like, it could get cheesy at times, but then you realize like, that's kind of how you talk, like, as someone like what are they, like college age, little high school-ish, but like what's the worst way you could die? And it's like Sarlacc pit. That's one of them, definitely.
Yeah, like it had some comedy too. I mean, it was fun. I mean, just a very brief overview of the film. Basically, there's 3 people. There's 2 guys and a girl. The guy and girl are dating, and then it's the other guy's best friend. And the 2 guys have been like ski board, snowboard buddies forever, and they wanted to take the girlfriend on the trip. They've been together for a year now, and he's like, hey, I want to bring my girlfriend. So they're going to like all the bunny hills because she can't snowboard or ski. So they're like really trying to help her basically. And that's kind of the setup. The thing that kind of screws them over is because they've been going on the bunny hill all day, the friend is like, hey, I really want to get some good runs in here. So let's go do that. So they pay the ski lift guy $100 to let them go up one more time.
That's insane to pay that much for one more time. But
well, I think it was for the whole day. Like they paid $100 in the beginning of the day, and then they were allowed to just ride on. But then that last time, as they're closing down, they're like, "Hey, we gave you $100," and the guy was like, "All right, fine." Yeah. Which that guy was in Hatchet also. He was the like the redneck guy in Hatchet.
There's a couple of people from Hatchet and Hatchet 2.
Yeah,
for
a
sure.
lot of people.
But like you're just saying, why did they bring the girl with them on that big run? Like she's gonna fall on her ass the whole time anyway. You don't learn how to snowboard in one day. It's really hard to do that.
And it's night. It's like, the circumstances for her, she should have just been like, fuck it, I'll stay here. Like, I'll see you guys in a little while.
They should have been like, let's do one run, me and you. She can stay back and just have hot cocoa in the lounge. And I think that's a total compromise. I mean, otherwise, literally, you're going to be waiting for her every 5 minutes down the hill.
Yeah. So definitely not a good setup because like in the beginning, they get a couple good runs in during the day on the bunny hill and blah, blah, blah. But then by the end, the sun's going down. They're about to shut the lift down and they're like, hey, we have 3 people up there. But then it's like the operator gets, he's like, what? They're screwing with my work schedule. So he leaves. Another guy replaces him. That guy leaves to go pee. Another guy replaces him. So those people don't know that those people are up there.
Yeah, and they say 3 people, and then 3 people do come down. So there's also a miscount as well.
Yeah, so it's a lot of just like miscommunications. Which here's the thing, that could happen. I mean, it's unlikely.
Well, there's a couple reaches in this movie, but I mean, the second those lights go out, Alec, you are screaming at the top of your lungs. Like, how? They didn't do that. They're like, what? Oh, we're up here. No, you are screaming together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Help!
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Like, someone is going to hear you. You're not in a middle of nowhere. Like, someone's still walking to their car, I'm sure.
They're pretty high up, though, man. I mean,
you would hear that.
I hope. You hope. But dude, Ski Sundown is a joke mountain, and this place is way bigger than that. And if you're close to the top, like halfway up Ski Sundown, you're not near anybody, dude. So I don't know. I kind of believe that could happen.
I was giving it the benefit of the doubt too, where it's just like, yeah, well, people don't really care as much on the mountain because they know kids fart around too. So
yeah,
you can never tell.
But they get stuck. And then really quick before we get into like the meat of the movie, it is filmed in Utah, but it takes place in Vermont. And I don't know if you saw the Newbury Comics like poster. I was like, oh my God, that's from Boston. So I was like, oh, is this like I thought they were in Boston or in Massachusetts, but they're in Vermont.
Yeah, and they mentioned Okemo and Killington, the actual mountains, but there wasn't a name to this mountain, I don't think.
It was called like Harrington. What's his name? Kane Hodder was wearing a hat when he was in the snow machine or whatever. It said like Harrington Mountain. I don't think it's real, but I don't know.
Obviously, you want to be a fictional mountain for this.
Yeah.
You don't want to be associated with like, oh, this is the mountain they did Frozen.
Yeah.
But this is technically based on a true story too, off of Robert Redford's mountain that he owns. I don't know if you read about that, but I guess there's like the timing doesn't make sense because it really happened like right as this movie was coming out or something. So very coincidental, but. I feel like, I mean, look, you're on a ski lift. That's like something you think about. Like, dude, imagine this cable just fucking broke. Imagine they just like left us up here. And you've done nightboarding too. It's theoretically possible.
It is. And there's things in this movie that came up that I wasn't even thinking were a possibility, but they are. So, all right, let's get into it because a couple things. I want to tell my story later, but I also think I solved how to get down. I'm pretty sure I did. So I'll see if you came to the same conclusion. But basically, yeah, the 3 people get stuck and the lights go out and then they start to kind of like panic, but they're like, maybe someone's going to come up here. Like they're trying to talk themselves out of the situation. And basically the thing that kind of like saves them, they think, is the snowplows coming up to the top.
Which I thought about when they did that. It was the groomer. Like, it's like the groomers are going to come through with the lights and stuff. Like, you've seen that leaving the mountain late at night. Like, the groomers come in, like the rakes and everything. But keep going. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So Kane Hodder, one of the employees, does come up and they're so excited. But dude, they start throwing their stuff. And I was like, you guys have to start throwing it immediately. Like, that guy can't see anything right now. And they start throwing it as it's backing away. And I'm like, God damn idiots. But okay. So basically, instead of grooming them out Kane Hodder gets a radio message being like, come back to base or whatever. And I'm pretty sure it was the guy from Avatar. I think it was the guy from Hatchet. That was his voice. But anyways, So they lose Kane Hodder and they're stuck up there all night and they're freezing and they're getting frostbite and they're trying to make jokes and trying to like, just keep warm and keep safe or whatever. And this is where the movie really takes a turn. The guy from Air Bud decides he's going to jump because he's starting to realize there's really no other options right now.
Yep. Yeah, this is where it's like, I wish they didn't do this shit.
Yeah, so he jumps, and it's about 50 feet, they say, and he breaks both of his legs.
Compound fracture, bone through the skin, done.
It's horrible. Like, he's losing those legs.
It was laughable, too, when he does it, too, because it's like, you're going to go from the seated position and just jump. Like, at least get as low as you can.
Right. I thought of a couple things they could have done. So that was one of them. Yeah, like hang off of it and then drop. So at least
dude, he not only does he jump from the seated position, but he like pencil dives like when you're jumping in a pool and you put your arms by your side. I was like, oh, dude, that is not the way to jump down.
Well, I don't know what the right way would have been because I mean, if he landed on his back, he could have broke his spine. I mean, like, I don't know.
You got to roll. You can't just like. You gotta. He didn't bend his knees. It was just like he pencil dove off the chairlift. From the seated position.
But he breaks both of them, and you're like, fuck, what are they going to do?
And the shot of his legs, like, straight up, like completely crooked. It was kind of comical. It was like, yeah, dude, like, what? Like, that was a terrible way to do that.
He's like, don't worry, I'll get help. And he just,
Well, he's going to bleed to death if he doesn't move, because if any of his bone hit an artery, he's donezo. So he's got hours left, if that.
I mean, it was kind of like the Chris Hemsworth part in Cabin in the Woods, where he's like, I'll be back, and then just, drives off the cliff and dies. But unfortunately, he does survive. His legs are broken. They're bleeding. He tries to tourniquet it to stop the bleeding. And something that did not even cross my mind, motherfucking wolves.
Wildlife. There's no wolves. Is there wolves in Vermont?
Probably, man.
I would do coyotes. I'd do a pack of coyotes. Wolves was, like, unreal for me.
I don't know. I believed it when I was watching it. I didn't look up to see if there actually are wolves. But they joke in the movie. They're like, come on, these wolves are pussies in New England. Like, they're trying to make jokes about it. But, like, dude, I don't know.
I've seen coyotes. I've never seen a wolf up in New England.
Well, we don't spend a lot of time in the mountains, I mean, we're on roads and stuff. But, yeah, I've never seen a wolf either. But I've seen black bears. I've seen other animals out here.
Rabid coyotes would be more realistic. Like, imagine a pack of rabid coyotes showed up, and you can see the foaming in the mouth. It's like, oh, this is a terrible scenario. Not only is it a coyote, but it's rabid.
I mean, it's pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Either way you look at it, like this was the biggest reach of the movie.
I didn't think so. All right, whatever. So. But he gets murdered by a pack of wolves. They eat his body alive, and his girlfriend and friend of his best friend have to sit there and watch this happen, and it's brutal. And then basically the rest of the movie, I was sitting there. I'm like, okay, well, dude, climb the ropes like the guy, or climb the wire like he ended up doing, but I didn't realize those are sharp. I never would have thought that.
That to me also caught me off guard because I mean, are they sharp? Like, are they like?
Probably, man. They're probably like the back of like an air conditioning window unit. Like how those are like really sharp.
That's what it made it seem like. But by the time he did it too, he was very frozen, so his hand was peeling apart. I'm sure. Oof. So, but he had gloves on, so you think like, oh, maybe.
Yeah, rips through his gloves. His hands are all shredded up. I mean. It's just the girl and the best friend now, and the girl is, getting horrible frostbite on her face. And here's the other thing. She's a smoker, and they talk about her smoking in the movie. Dude, she has a lighter. Why weren't they using the lighter to try and keep warm? Like, what the fuck was that? They didn't even bring that up.
Or signal to some. I don't know.
Like try and start a fire maybe if you can. I don't know. But, they had the cigarettes, and they talk about the cigarettes in the beginning, but those never really come back. The only thing that comes back is that she tries to smoke one, and she drops her glove. And I was like, well, you still have the lighter.
Also, put your hand in your coat jacket and tie your hand cuff off so your hand isn't out in the cold like that.
There was a couple things which I'm assuming were for the film aesthetically. Like they were not covered up all the way. They weren't zipped up all the way. Like there were things that like they could have done to cover their face more, but I was like, well, we need to see it for the movie.
Yeah, exactly. You think like you would be wearing a face like scarf mask like I would anywhere in New England these days. Yeah. And also, no way are they surviving the night. Sorry, I just had dinner, so I'm a little acidic.
Maybe.
There's no way with your face exposed. You're surviving up there.
Yeah.
Negative degrees.
Well, we don't know.
Yeah, sure.
It was in the 30s, maybe. I mean, but still.
Oh, you're losing your hands. You're
Yeah.
losing your feet. You're horrific frostbite at the very least.
Right. I mean, unlikely you'll survive, but possible, you know. So I guess we'll just walk through the plot, and then I kind of want to see what you think about my ways of escaping, because I did think of two. But yeah, so basically after that, they realize that no one's coming. They have to get out of there. They have a couple heart-to-heart moments talking about the friend and like blaming each other and, you know, just trying to fill the runtime a little bit. And they essentially come to the realization that they are going to die up there unless the friend, the Iceman, unless he climbs across the rope, across the wire to the main ski pole and then climbs down because there's a ladder there. He knows his hands are going to get cut. He knows this. He does it. He actually does it. He gets across and gets to the next ski lift and then gets to the pole and climbs down. And the second he climbs down, those fucking wolves are there.
Yeah.
And they do attack him. He does get one of them away from him, and then he starts riding away, and they're chasing him. And then
he probably made it like 4 minutes down the hill at most, it seems like, right?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know why he decided to ride the snowboard. Maybe run? Because you don't have any control over that, really. He was just sitting on it like a sled.
Also, your face is low to the ground. Your neck is low to the ground. You have a worse chance on that low to the ground. I mean, he was wearing ski boots. Could he buckle in? And well, he's not on a snowboard. He's a skier.
Yeah, but I think like I don't know. I've never fought a wolf, but I mean, he was able to scare it away with the ski pole, which he had still. So I'm like, well, maybe if you were running and hitting them as you're running, maybe they would. I don't know. We don't see what happens, but he does die later on. So the girl, she eventually comes to the realization that this guy might not be coming back.
That's probably the scariest part, and I wish they did a better job of her waiting. Like, imagine waiting. It's like, I'm going to give him an hour. Like, I wish there was a way to see, like, the sun going down and realizing, like, it's been 4 hours.
Well, they did such. This is my favorite shot of the movie, is when she's alone and she like looks down. She realizes she can't jump. She looks at the rope. She realizes she can't climb it, and she's just sitting there. And after Joe, the Iceman guy, after he leaves, the bolt snaps on the ski lift, so it's like already dropping. So she knows if she moves too much, the ski lift's gonna drop. So you see this moment in her where she like looks down, looks above her, looks to the left, looks to the right, and realizes I have no options.
I got to jump, right? And
so all right. So she jumps, kind of. The ski lift breaks, which drops low enough for her to then drop. And I think she breaks one of her ankles, maybe. And then she crawls, okay? This is the moment that I hated. She crawls, and I believe all of that. I believe that she's doing it. She's freezing. She's just trying to get to the bottom of the mountain. But then she comes across the wolves eating Joe's body. And that one wolf looks at her like, what the fuck are you doing here? And then she just stares at it, and then the wolf just goes away. And I was like, okay, don't do that.
Wish they just showed the body and not the wolf, right?
Or if she's far enough away where the wolves don't see her, but she's crawling right next to the wolf sees her.
Eye to eye,
dude,
too.
I hated that. I was like, wait, come on.
Like, imagine she's just doing it and she sees the body and hears wolves howling in the distance.
Right.
That's what they should have done. It's like, yeah, clearly he got killed by wolves. And this was like, what is it? Are they full? Like, I'm stuffed. You can keep going. Like, what is this?
That. No, wolves don't think like that. They're like, food, good. Let's go.
No, they will eat until they die.
Right. Yeah. I hated that. But she does, for some reason, the wolves ignore her and she crawls to the bottom. A car drives past her and doesn't help her, which I'm like, I don't think in New England that would happen. But anyways.
Do you think the wolf is like, you have a cat at home? Or
a dog, yeah.
Like, I sense your cat needs to eat. Oh. Like, maybe that's secretly the thing the director wanted.
So dumb.
Like, she cares about wildlife. She cares. All she's thinking about is it a cat or a dog? I don't remember.
It was a dog.
Yeah, it was a dog, like, starving to death. So maybe that's, like, the wolf is, like, sensing that.
No. Anyways, so she does get to the bottom. A truck drives past her, stops, saves her, and that's the end of the movie, basically.
Also, did you see that guy pick her up? I'm like, geez, I didn't realize it was Hulk Hogan picking you up. Like,
yeah, and I was like,
scoops her up like no problem.
He's like, you're a baby. Yeah, he really does. But she gets into the car. He says he's taking her to the hospital, and she seems like she makes it, and she does. She survives.
You hear what's his name's voice too, the boyfriend. Like, hang in there, like, kind of thing.
Right.
That's how it ends.
Yeah, and I cannot believe I didn't see this, but in Hatchet 2, apparently this actress is in that, and she says, yeah, I sued the ski resort, and I won a bunch of money. I'm never going skiing again. That was in Hatchet 2. I don't remember that at all.
I don't remember that either, but I know that the actress was in both.
Yeah, so she had a very small cameo where she basically says, I sued the mountain and I won and blah, blah, blah. So,
Yeah, Kane Hodder in both too, so it's like it's a nice nod.
yeah.
And I think Hatchet 2 came out just barely after this. Yeah,
Like 6 months later. But anyway, so that's the movie. I think this is it's a good example of a survival horror. It's more realistic than a lot of other ones. Like another one that I love is 47 Meters Down, where the girls go into a shark cage and then the boat breaks and it drops to the bottom of the ocean and they have to figure out how to get out. That's a great
Did you and Joe do that one already?
No, we haven't done that one. So we should definitely
do that in the summer.
It's
That'll be
good.
a great summer one. Yeah.
It's good, but it's more unrealistic, I think, than this one. I think more people can relate to this because it's a ski mountain. You know, it's a mountain. Nobody's like, oh, yeah, let's go diving with sharks. Like, that's not nearly as common as skiing and snowboarding.
Yeah. I think the thing I liked about this movie, this is just my take, is I literally thought, and I can't wait to hear how you would survive. I'll come up with my idea, too. I have one that's probably not the best either. But I liked that it answered my questions. I was like,
yeah.
Like, there's a groomer that goes through. The groomer's going to go through and groom the snow. They do that every night, and they see the ski lift. They answered that. And what was the other thing?
Can't climb the ropes.
Stuff like that. They're far away from the pole. You know, there's a pole every like 5 or 6 things. It's like stuff like that. But I can't forget the other thing it answered for me. Like, oh, why don't they just do this? But yeah. Totally like good survivor movie that makes you like think, but also like that's just so unlikely to happen at the same time. But yeah,
well, it's more likely than a lot of other survival
Did
horrors.
they say 50 feet too? They're up 50 feet.
I think so. I watched a couple videos online and they kind of explained it. I wanted to watch to see if anybody else had my escape plan.
I was gonna say 30 feet up. Like I don't
know.
see 50 feet. But anyway, can you tell your plan?
Yeah, it's because I wanted to see if other people came up with it because I was like, fuck, if someone did, but nobody did that I could see. So, dude, okay, so you have 3 people, okay? You have ski poles, you have skis, everybody has jackets on, everybody has snow pants on, everybody's got that, right? So here's what you do. You take off your jackets, you tie them together like knots, dude, okay? And then one person will stay at or 2 people will stay at the top to make sure the weight stays balanced. And they basically lower the person down using their equipment. You know, like it's like a rope, basically.
That's exactly what I thought of too, is tie the jackets together, but also the people on the ski lift still can hold on to their jackets.
Right.
Because the person will eventually let go, they get their jackets back, they untie one, give it to the person, and they can run down the hill without actually freezing to death.
So that was my first option, which I think is the better one. And the second one we kind of already talked about, but like there's 3 people, okay? So of the 2 guys, whoever has the better upper body strength, which I think is the kid from Air Bud, he's the one. So what he'll do is he'll hold on to the ski lift and he'll put his legs down. And then the other guy will climb down, hold on to his legs. And then the girl will climb down them and hold on to their legs and jump.
Bro, I'd even try to take the safety bar off and see if I can extend that length, like just unscrew the safety bar somehow and just add it to the length of the jackets.
Yeah.
Like there's so much you can do if you think about it. Like even, the amount of clothing they have is insane.
They had to do it soon though, because it's like if it gets too cold and your hands get all like fucked up.
Well, you test it out. Let's say me and you. Let's say it's me, you, and Shannon on the ski lift, right? I think like we would lower you down probably. Because I don't think you could hold my fat ass as I'm holding on.
No, you would hold on to it, and then I would hold on.
I would hold on, but we would first tie it together, but we'd also test the balls off of that tightness and the knot. Like we would pull and yank and be like, this is like the scene in Shanghai Night when like Jackie Chan's like bending the bars. Like this is not breaking.
Right. No, so I really do think there's a way that could have worked. I really do.
It is a jump though. And also there's a storm that just rolled through, and you think, okay, maybe there's fresh powder, but they did a clear job of making it seem more like ice than...
Yeah, well, it's New England. That's New England skiing for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, those were my 2 options of being like, I think that's what I would do if I was stuck there for that long. After seeing, like, it's too far to jump. You can't climb the wire because it'll cut your hands up. Like, you got to do it. That's all you can do. So
I think, I mean, if we're up 50 feet, I feel like the chances of getting to that back tower is a better chance than jumping if it's 50 feet. That's insane.
Yeah.
So I would I would sloth it. I would cover my hands as best I could and just kind of take someone's snow pants even and wrap it around my arms and just like shimmy across. Because you can't just like Home Alone hang and hope that your arms can hold out. You have to sloth it. You have to give your arms a rest, your legs a rest, your arms a rest, your legs a rest. And then, but the thing is, you just got to think in your head, like, I just got to get to the next chair. Take a breather. So you take a breather after you get to the chair. You rest your arms, you stretch them out, and then you go to the next chair, and then you're at the tower within 3 chairs.
That's what he did, basically. Yeah.
He didn't give himself a rest. He kept going right away. I would literally be like, okay, we're going to fucking freeze to death tonight. I would probably, instead of jumping, especially if it's more than 50 feet, I would sloth it across that wire. I don't see it being that, like, prickly sharp. I can see it, like, being, like you just mentioned, the back of an air conditioner. But with gloves on and with, like, a little bit more padding, sure, you can survive.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, get everybody's gloves, get coats, like use those as gloves, use your hat as gloves, like everything to get your hands padded. But
by the time he does that, his hands are frozen and numb, and he probably can't even hold on for shit anyway.
Yeah, and the other thing I was thinking is, like, I think the only reason those wolves came is because the guy was bleeding, so they could smell the blood and the screaming. I don't think if that guy jumped, I don't think those wolves would have came, because they wouldn't have known why people were there. But they can smell blood, you know. And the guy was wounded, so he's screaming like he's wounded. So, anyways,
it's just crazy too, because like after this all happens, like they're gonna find all these bodies, and the news is gonna be like, "There's wolves at this mountain." So now they have a wolf problem that like they never had before, but there's wolves now, so they gotta. It's insane to have wolves on a ski mountain like that.
I don't know. I want to look that up because I've never heard of that either, but it could be.
I have seen a video of a woman taking a video of herself with a GoPro and having no idea a bear is right behind her, and the bear is like chasing her, and she has no idea. It's like the scariest thing you'll ever see. I'll send it to you. I
just saw a black bear in front of my dad's house like last week. It was at night. It was a big black bear. It was going through our trash. But anyways, before we wrap up here, I'll tell my ski lift story.
Yeah.
Really quick before we go. So I was probably 15. So this was, like a while. It was like 18 years ago. But it was Justin, who used to be on the podcast with us a lot. Justin and I were going at Ski Sundown in Connecticut, and we were on a ski lift, and we're going up the mountain, and the guy in front of us, for some reason, was using his inertia to rock back and forth with the ski lift. So it's going right to left, like more and more every time it swings. I don't know why this guy was doing it. He was by himself. So he just keeps rocking it back and forth. And it eventually hit one of those major poles, the one that the Iceman guy climbs down in this one. When it hit, one of the wires came out of the turning, machine or whatever, and we dropped down a little bit. And we still were moving, though, because I guess there's a safety one that's pulling us. And I was like, holy shit, dude. Like, both of us were freaking out. Within 10 seconds, our ski lift gets to the pole, and it starts sparking like hell. Like, it's just paint is chipping off of it, and we're stuck there. It's not moving anymore. So it's just like, and I was like, we have seconds to figure out what we're going to do. So I literally looked down. It was about 15 feet. And I was just like, I'm going to jump, because we weren't that high up, but we were high enough, So I just kicked my skis off and just jumped, and I landed fine. And I was like to Justin, who was still up there, I was like, dude, come, just jump. You got to jump. He jumps, and he lands where his knee just goes right into his face, and he just bashes his face, starts bleeding and all this stuff. So it was really scary. Luckily, after that, he patched his face up. We went to the ski lodge. We had to fill out a police report, explain what happened.
Did he need stitches or anything?
No, it wasn't that bad, but he was bleeding, but nothing. Yeah, so they ended up arresting the guy who did that, and then they had to get a fire truck with a cherry picker to go up the mountain and get every single person down individually. So this was hours.
Wow.
Hours.
So this is a legit similar story to this.
It broke the ski lift.
What a dick. So this guy was right in front of you?
He was the next one in front of us, yeah. So he broke the ski lift, and I jumped, Justin jumped, and then we had to go tell the lodge what happened, fill out a police report, and explain everything. And then as we were leaving, because we were too young to drive, so Justin's mom came and picked us up. And as we're walking out, we see the fire truck like halfway up the mountain taking people down individually. It's pitch black at this point. Hours later, it was sunny when it happened, and it was darkened at this point. So imagining people that were like sort of close to the top, maybe like 75% of the way, they have no idea what's going on. That's scary to me. But,
very scary. Very scary. I mean, every time the ski lift stops, you think, oh, someone just fell at the front.
Yeah.
There could be a total power outage, like a car could hit a pole, and you're just SOL, man.
Yep.
That's crazy that you've actually had that. Like, I've jumped off the ski lift at a very, 10 feet with a few people, but I've never had a scenario where, that's, insane.
Well, because I thought it was going to break, and I thought the ski lift was going to drop. And then I was like, this is probably going to drop with our heads getting, crushed. Like, it wasn't going to drop like a perfect chair.
Oh. Wait, that's the thing. Like, you have to get out of the in-between all this metal and stuff, or else your ligaments are going to just get ripped apart by how you fall. Yeah. No, the good call on jumping, man.
I had to. I mean, there was no other choice, But anyways, I gotta go. So unfortunately, we gotta spin the old wheelsies now.
Yeah.
Christmas wheel.
All right. Spinning. Return of the Living Dead 2. It's not really Christmassy, but
no. Whatever. It'll be fun. I don't think we have a guest for that one, but I'll see if Joe wants to jump on. But we'll see.
I can see that being a Joe.
Yeah, he loves those movies. But all right, everybody. Well, thank you very much for listening into our discussion on Frozen today. We hope you all have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And Eric, have a good one.
You too. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everyone.
All right, we'll see you all next year.